Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with another edition of Move into the Magic. And I am so thrilled to have as my guest today a dear friend of mine. I've known her for years, and you have too, Melissa Joy Jonsson. Melissa is best known for her ability to engage people from all over the world to embrace their true, authentic power through accessing universal consciousness by playing in the field of the heart. She does self-help, self-improvement workshops all over the world. She is a best-known author and #1 bestseller, and that's why I've invited her here today to be my guest, because Melissa Joy Jonsson has done it again. She has written, now, she's constantly growing and evolving. As of now, this is the penultimate Melissa Joy Jonsson. Her book, Little Book of Big Potentials, really is a little book of big potentials. There is not one extraneous word in the entire book. And I'm going to read you from the cover. It says 24 fields of flow, fulfillment, abundance, and joy in everyday life. If you have not gotten a copy of this, you're going to want a copy. If you've taken any of her workshops, you're going to want to see her latest work, because it is a masterpiece. And while I love reading books, I love even more interviewing the authors, because when they explain their books, the book comes to life. And so, welcome, darling friend, Melissa Joy Jonsson.
Thank you, Maxine, for that beautiful introduction and general overview of my new book. I very much appreciate it, and I love your support, so thank you.
Thank you, darling. Now, of course, I've read the book, and we've talked about the book before, but when you started explaining it last time, I did what I always do. I just moved into the field, and I was long gone. So, and I love being long gone. First of all, tell us, why did you write this book, Little Book of Big Potentials?
Well, the answer is it's complex and it's simple. The main answer is that I had begun teaching the Joy of Being seminars around the world in early 2014, and the results of people coming into contact with these fields, with the experience of Joy, the we experience that is very much a heart-centered process. It's very much coming into a cohesive relationship with what I refer to as the true authentic self, that then enables us to experience true relating and manifesting our true authentic desires. People were leaving these workshops absolutely transformed, empowered, and filled with joy, which is our natural state. And so I wanted to put this information in a format that would be accessible to anyone, anywhere, ultimately at any time. Not everyone has the ability to attend a live workshop. Not everyone has the interest or the motivation to attend a 2-day workshop.
Right.
So by virtue of putting the material in a book, I was able to make that information accessible. What happened through the process of writing the book, and as you know, I say we don't write books, books write us. The experience and the distinctions of that I was able to share in relation to these 24 fields deepened and expanded. So the material that's included in the book is far more comprehensive than what I have historically taught in seminars. What that means is that the seminars moving forward have taken an upgrade, and there will be new information coming in to disseminate through those live interactive experiential workshops. So the main reason was to get the information out. The Joy experience, the 24 fields of flow, fulfillment, abundance, and joy that are accessible in everyday life, it's really an open, integrative, interactive system. And that means that anyone, no matter what you know, what you think you know, what you've done, what you're experiencing, what you may experience, you can derive benefit from these fields. The fields themselves, simply stated, are fields of love. They provide clear, cohesive reflections of our true essence and our true nature. And it's not love from a "I love you, Maxine, let's be in a relationship" standpoint. It's love as the cohesive force that binds all of us together, that is the underlying fabric, that is universal consciousness, the creative intelligence creating itself in its own symmetric mirrored reflection. And so really what the fields enable us to do is to see ourselves more clearly. It's not a self-improvement book, because I do not come from a place where anyone really needs to improve upon themselves. We are all absolutely perfectly imperfect exactly as we are. But how we relate to ourselves and how we relate to others is often done from a state of dissatisfaction, from a state of confusion, from states of lack, and from states of feeling as though we're not good enough or we don't deserve. And so what this book enables the reader to do is to experience what's available through these fields, and ultimately to experience themselves more clearly, more cohesively, more congruently. And then that plays out in all situations and circumstances and conditions in our lives.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And Melissa, you mentioned workshops that you do about these fields, that deal with these fields. Can you tell us more about them, where they're going to be, etc.? And tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, because believe it or not, some people may not have met you yet and would like to.
This is true. So the easiest way to find me is via my website, and that website is www.mjoyheartfield.com. That's spelled www.mjoyheartfield.com. And my next MJoy Integrative Workshop will be in San Diego, California, November 14th and 15th. That information will be available on the website very soon. A lot of our observers and listeners and those that are participating in this webinar may have seen me teaching on a very popular life transformational seminar platform known as Matrix Energetics. I still teach Matrix Energetics seminars with the founder, Dr. Richard Bartlett, and so viewers can also find me on that platform, both in Europe as well as in the United States, coming up in November and December. So there's lots of ways to connect to me, but I would say the best way to connect directly to me is through the website. There's information about the seminars, information about the fields, and information about a new way to experience the fields in support of the information that's in the book. And that's through something called Fractal Holograms. It's a interactive, moving, dynamic, fluid, vibrant, auditory and visual experience as a portal into the 24 fields of flow, fulfillment, abundance, and joy. And those will be releasing pretty much the same time as this webinar will announce. So I would say visit the website and you can get more information.
It makes me want to just dive into those fields because I'm such a visual learner, as most of us are. And I remember asking you in an earlier interview, have you seen these fields? And you're going to probably have to go into a little explanation of what the fields are, because I've read the book, but many of our viewers have not. And let me just hold it up one more time. You are going to want to get a copy of Melissa Joy's latest book, A Little Book of Big Ideas. Big potentials, excuse me, potentials. I don't want to limit it to just ideals. Please tell us about them.
That's actually an interesting mistake, so to speak, and there are no mistakes, because one of the principles that is woven through the entire book is that this is not about positive thinking. This is not about changing your thoughts so you can change the world. It's not enough to choose. What we ultimately need, to some extent, is a change of heart, but not a change of heart in that our heart needs to change, but we need to approach our experience of interactive reality creation from the field of the heart. The field of the heart does not polarize like our mind does, like our thoughts. The field of the heart it's a unified way of being that is all inclusive and includes everything as part of itself. So the book is really a deeper journey and an expansive journey into the field of the heart, which enables us to connect to all fields of information in the universe. So what are fields, you are asking? And my first sort of sarcastic answer is, what's a field? Is it something that we go and play in? And do we have to mow the field's grass when it gets too long? Or is it a baseball field? And those are some definitions of fields, but that's not what we're talking about here in reference to the 24 fields. Fields are how universal consciousness essentially organizes all living organisms. We live in an ever-expansive, ever-evolving conscious universe. And fields are essentially non-local templates, or I call them containers of information. And they give rise or shape or form to our experiences. Now, the types of fields that we're referring to in the little book of Big Potentials are actually morphic fields. And I must give homage and all credit and respect to biologist Rupert Sheldrake, who has pioneered the understanding of morphic fields, and he coined the term morphic field. It stems from genetic fields, but morphic fields are basically the fields of information that inform all living organisms all the way down to our cellular structure. So we're talking about biological fields, but more importantly, we're talking about cultural fields, social fields, family fields, economic fields, political fields. These are all containers through which information is poured, and then depending upon the parameters of the field, an experience will correspond accordingly. So we as individuals are in resonance with a morphic field of fear or division or limitation or lack, then we will experience fear and limitation and division and lack in our everyday life, in what I call our love hologram. If we are in resonance or connected to fields of love, fields of grace, fields of abundance, fields of joy, fields of flow, fields of authenticity, then we will experience those corresponding fields. Because fields function based on a feedback loop. In other words, connection to a field will signal a field to activate field flow. So we will correspondingly receive the information that is inherent to any particular field we connect to. So the book, while it's very much about being in the field of the heart, it teaches the reader how to command field flow, how to signal a field, how to get in resonance with a field of abundance, a field of joy, a field of authenticity, a field of being able to speak your truth, a field of being able to have fluid boundaries, a field of planetary coherence, and where we resonate, so we experience. And so while there are 24 expansive fields that are all interconnected and interrelated, ultimately the book teaches the reader how to connect to any field in universal consciousness and to create from that experience true authentic desires, manifestations, and really a reflection of limitless, extraordinary living.
Wow. Isn't that exciting? I mean, those of you who are watching this video, you're feeling the energy coming from Melissa, and you're one with what she is describing. And I know that you want to know more about these fields. She has described them in great detail. I promise you, great detail in this marvelous book. I'm holding it up again. I mean, it looks like an infomercial, I know, but I'm so crazy about this book, and I'm so crazy about Melissa, that I want you all to know that as you read this, you are going to move into these fields. They will resonate with you. Now, can I promise you that? No. But if you are in any way empathic, you will find yourself moving into these fields. I have my own personal favorite, as Melissa knows. It's Field 124, Planetary Balance and Unity. Melissa, will you just talk about that just for a second?
Absolutely. And I would like to share with all of our viewers that you don't need to be empathic to experience the book. And at the same time, we are all empathic because we're all interconnected. Empathy is simply the ability to track or follow someone else's experience. And so there's something for everyone in the book. The book is delivered in a language of light, a language of torsion or spirals. The system is called spiral glyphics, and it's really the torsioning of universal consciousness, delivering the information into our electromagnetic spectrum. So the experience of the actual fields can't be felt. We can connect to the information, and then the result of the connection can be felt. So in other words, we can't feel the fields, we can't sense the fields, but we can connect to them, and as a result of that connection, what is expressed is energy and experience. One of the reasons that I am releasing these beautiful fractal holograms with an artist, a holographic artist, Keith Allen Kay, who's rendered the artistic representations, is that we can see those fractal holograms. We can track them through light. We can hear the music. And so they're a visual auditory representation to support us in the experience that is verbally articulated in the book. With that being said, Field 124 is perhaps one of my favorite fields, although, you know, I love all my babies. I can't necessarily say which one I would adore more. Field 124 is about seeing the earth as what I call earthentically, all right? We are living and embodying our true authentic self through the field of the heart. And when we are living in that unified way of being, we then are able to project into the love hologram Earth's true authentic self, Earth through a frame of reference of innocent perception of divine beingness. And to me, divine is not something outside of our reach. Divine is that which is sustainable. And so Field 124 enables us to project into the hologram Earth's sustainability. And it is really establishing resonance with the singular heartbeat of the planet. One heartbeat, all as one, one for all. And there is a remembering of a time when we as beings lived in a unified state with the planet. We were in harmony. We were aware of how Mother Nature and Earth is completely alive. And so what Field 124 enables all of us to do is to connect to that remembering, but more importantly, to see the world not as being on the brink of destruction, not as being, Armageddon and everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Because every time we look at the universe that way, we project that image into the hologram, and it becomes available for others to resonate with. So Field 124 supports us in seeing the world as we know she can be, as she truly is, as her true authentic self, authentically, not from a state of needing to fix anything, but from a state of innocent perception. And then it supports us in choice with discernment, making choices that are aligned with what we have projected into the love hologram, so that there's matched symmetry, and that what we desire from within will be reflected from without. Also within Field 124 is the recognition that until we clean up our own personal ecology, our own inner virons and our own inner villains, Mother Nature, the earth, planetary coherence will not reflect accordingly. And so there is an aspect of personal responsibility to clean up our own ecology, to clean up our own environment, to clean up our own relationships. And then what happens is that is outpictured into our environment, and we are able to create a matched symmetry that reflects our true authentic desires.
Oh, that's music to my ears, just music to my ears. Now, these holograms, you've got to tell us about these gorgeous holograms, how we can get hold of them, everything about them. I have seen what you've posted there. Absolutely magnificent. Please share with us.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited about this project that I'm launching in collaboration with holographic artist Keith Allen Kay. Right about the time when I was finishing the first draft of the book, I was guided internally to want to give people something tangible as a representation of the fields. Because the fields are outside of the detectable electromagnetic spectrum, it can sometimes be challenging to feel them, as I shared earlier in the interview. And so I wanted a symbolic representation, or a portal into connecting to each of these fields. And so I approached Keith Allen Kay about a year ago and shared with him my vision and asked him if he would be interested in collaborating on a project. And so we sat down, I gave him a preview of the book, I shared with him the information, shared with him the gematria of the fields, which is the relationship of the numbers that creates the geometry that then allows for the expression as form and experience. And I told him, I want to create an opening and an expansion into the fields, but it's very important that the fractal holograms not be identified as the fields. In other words, everyone is free to choose how to experience these fields, and everyone will experience the fields differently. This is just one way to support us in our experience of interactive reality creation. So we spent about almost a year creating these fractal holograms, and they are magnificent. I would like to be able to show you a copy. They don't actually transfer very well across the platform of this technology, but anyone that wants to see what I'm talking about, if you visit my website, www.mjoyhartfield.com, there is a subcategory called Fractal Holograms, and there are at least 4 examples there of the fractal holograms representing Field 101, Field of the Heart, Field 108, True Authentic Self, our limitless essence, peacefully coexisting with our self-contained perceived limitations. Field 111, which is divine alignment and synchronicity. And Field 116, which is it's pleasure, it's sensuality, it's the juicy field. It's finding our juice and manifesting our true authentic desires. When we created these beautiful, moving, ever-expanding holofractal pictorial representations, they are all encoded with the information that is in the book. In fact, I spent quite a bit of time connecting the information in the book with the fractal holograms, so that each one of the moving symbolic representations actually is encoded with all the information of each respective field. And how you can experience the fractal holograms is as simply as connecting to them, becoming one with them, moving your consciousness into the fractal. And then, as a result, you begin to notice your own fractal nature. You begin to notice that you are holonomically connected to everything that's showing up in your love hologram. And as a result, you're able to change without really doing anything other than aligning to the experience. So it's quite a beautiful way to work on oneself, to work on the environment, work on your relationships, work on your jobs, work on manifesting a new house. Really, there's no limitation to the experience of the fields or to the connection to the fractal holograms. It's just an invitation to open.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, of course, I've always been open to what you had to share. And the book is marvelous, and hearing you describe it, experiencing your field, your fields, feeling the energy emanating from you, just brings it alive. And of course, you talked about the pleasure principle. One of the fields, field 118, I have a little note here, you list as play, potential love awaiting you. Now, everybody who's watching this show now says, oh, potential love awaiting me. Will you tell me more about that? So will you tell everybody more about field 118?
Indeed. And I will add that the fields all are interconnected, and at the same time they move in cycles of 3 at octaves of 8. And so there's basically 3 different octaves of harmonic overtones and undertones, and then they come in a series of 3. And so field 118 is the 3rd in a series of 3 fields that are all about play. Play puts us in our hearts. Play reminds us of who we truly are before we've been programmed and conditioned into thinking we are our thoughts or thinking that we are our experiences. Field 118 to me is true authentic friendship. It's friendship with oneself, friendship with the universe. The field, while it is potential love awaiting you as an acronym, and it is all about playing from the field of the heart without scripting how reality needs to show up in the very next moment. It is also a field with overtones of moving our awareness beyond comparison and competition. Those are constructs of the mind. Comparison is looking at the world the way it should be, rather than tapping into and connecting to all the infinite possibilities that are available. And competition puts us in a frame of reference where we feel like we're not good enough or we're less than someone else, when none of that is true. We are all simply unique individuals expressing something that the universe has never seen before. And so this field moves our awareness away from comparison and competition to a space of compassion with completion. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we are then compassionate with others. We are able to share waves of space that allow for infinite expansion that is a reflection of our infinitely fractal nature. The field reminds us that we are all inherently fundamentally already complete. We are what I call perfectly imperfect. Our true authentic self is continually evolving and expanding and moving beyond who we thought we were a moment ago into more of who we truly are and are becoming from the field of the heart. So I love field 118 because it really helps us disconnect from morphic fields of fear, of anger, resentment, jealousy, frustration. It recognizes competition as a metric of movement in consciousness, which doesn't necessarily say, I'm better than you, or you're better than me, or you're faster, but it says we're different. And I can come to know myself in relation to you, and we might be moving in different locations, but different isn't better. Different simply is different. And different is our own unique individual soul signature expressing through universal consciousness, we're still all connected.
Wow. I love the way you describe it. I was just realizing that you and I could sit here all day and go through each field. And as you explain it, I'm sure you do this at your workshops, just move into it. Just embrace it. And for those of you watching this video, you're going to want to attend one of her workshops because you're going to want to experience all of these exquisite fields. And I can imagine a room full of hundreds and hundreds of people all moving into the fields. It would be just a slice of heaven as far as I'm concerned. And I have noted my favorite fields, and we could sit and talk about all of them, but I feel like this explains the marvel of this wonderful new book that you've written. What would you like to say to everybody about not just this book, but the work that you continue to do? Where do you, in fact, let me ask you this. Where do you see yourself moving? And that may be too linear a question, but you keep coming up with the most incredible insights. What do you see as a result of this book reaching so many people, and where do you see you moving with it or beyond?
Thank you for all of that. You know, it's interesting. The first 3 chapters of the book, primarily the first 2 chapters, and to some extent the 3rd chapter, is the science of holographic principles and fields and fractal holograms. And so there is a scientific emphasis that is provided to the reader as foundational information. And I share with the reader that it isn't necessary that you comprehend from an analytical perspective the scientific information. Read the science from the field of the heart, because the heart knows what the mind may not process logically or may have forgotten. And so the science is presented there as a means of providing the readers with maps. Glenda Green, in her book Love Without End, essentially says that science provides us with an understanding of the innate workability of reality. And I really loved that description because it's true. Science is a map to describe terrains of consciousness, but science is not the terrain of consciousness. And so one of my abilities is to bridge science with the esoteric. I am able to provide maps for how love may express in scientific terms, how love is spiraling of the torsion fields, dancing with itself in grace. And so there is a bridging that occurs between the left and the right brain, and more importantly, between the logical mind, which chooses, and the field of the heart, which has access to all choices as infinite possibilities. And so where I may be going, I'm in the flow of this experience. So at one level, I can tell you I don't know. I'm fully committed to expanding and opening what has moved through me and what has been shared in a complete system of interrelating and interrelating. I love that I can talk in scientific terms to provide our logical minds with food for thought. And at the same time, I love that I can move the reader from the mind into the field of the heart where no thought is required. And so I would like to remain open to wherever this journey may take me, to whatever platforms present themselves as a means of sharing this information. Because whether I'm talking in scientific terms at a subtle energy conference, which I will actually be doing at the end of September in San Diego, or I am speaking in terms of love as our core essence, the vibration, the resonant, the fields that open are ultimately the same. I mean, science and spirit don't compartmentalize when we're talking about core universal truths. And so I would like to continue to be able to articulate in as many different languages the truth of the field of the heart, the truth of our own inherent boundless potential, and then being able to activate that potential from seeds of inner completion to external experiences. I think it's a template and a new blueprint for a unified way of being that enables people to really experience themselves as joy, as flow, as fulfilled, empowered beings. So where that will take me, I don't know, but I am fully committed to the journey, and I will continue teaching in as many different platforms as possible to share with people the reflection of their own inner truth, because that's really what's happening here. It's everything in the universe it's projections and reflections based on connections. And so if I can serve as a conduit for making those connections, then I'm happy, and my job is well done.
And your job is well done, and I'm honored to be one of the platforms that you have selected to share this information. And I know that our viewers are so happy that you were able to share it today. So I invite you to come back anytime. You know you have an open invitation to share with us. And I hope that everybody who has watched this video is enjoying the trip they're on now, because I know I'm enjoying mine. And I want to thank Melissa Joy Jonsson again, and I want to thank you for watching. And keep in mind that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at changed. This is Maxine Taylor saying, see you next time.
Thank you, Maxine.
You're welcome, honey.